everybody, welcome to one more round. Today I'm very excited. I've got Matt Brandenburg of Brandindo, our CEO, my partner Eric, and other ventures, and we're going to be working together. But today I thought it'd be super fun just for us to talk about marketing, which we may not actually talk about marketing, but we all have different backgrounds, and we've seen the evolution of it through the past. So what we wanted to do is just kind of like talk about the old school, which is like your traditional commercials, billboards, that kind of thing that they had to do, lead box days, and then where it's at today, and then hopefully can help you give some tips on what you could do with your business if you have a business or you work in a company and you're in the marketing side. So welcome, guys.
Thanks. We had a good thing going. We were talking just
we did.
What
were we talking about?
Well, Josh's insistence on being professional, it's enraging. We had a lot of good things going. We were telling stories here and there, but he just has to go and be like, dude. So now I think our goal for this entire thing is just
somebody's got to do it in the company.
That's true. That's true. So I think the goal is to just give one-word answers to every question the rest of the time.
When did you start in marketing that?
2002.
Or when did you have to market for your company?
This is where Eric ages himself. This is the only time he's the only one that goes, oh, the 70s, I remember that.
Thank you, Matt. We don't go back that far, but thank you. Well, we always started marketing individually, probably back as far as 91.
91. Yeah. How old are you in 91, Josh, just out of curiosity?
I was 8.
8? Oh, young guy.
Well, his mom's the same age as me, so I'll just cut you off right there. I know her. She's awesome. So...
Shout out, Mom, if you're watching. But yeah, no, I mean, the big thing is like it's changed. Back in the day, like there was no internet. When you guys had health clubs, you guys, if I remember correctly, didn't you guys create the first lead box ever?
That is a debatable conversation. It's either Neil or Ray Wilson. They fought over who created it, but it was created with the McDonald's hamburger box, the Big Mac box. And they put a flag on it.
Was it really?
Yeah, and they put a little slot in it, and they fight over who actually created it. I have no idea which one created it. Ray has now passed, and so I'm not sure.
So Neil did.
But Neil said, yeah. So we give it to him.
When the unfortunate event happens, when he passes, then
he gets the honor.
No, then you take it over.
I want nothing to do with lead boxes ever again.
When we go to marketing, I mean, the key of marketing, right? And correct if I'm wrong, there, fellas, is it's always your idea. Right, so no matter what it is, it's nope. The creative engine, everything. It was me, right? That's what correct.
I always submit to the idea you give credit twice, and then from there on you take it after that. So at least twice you give it credit.
We're gonna get rid of that.
To like your mother, and then you take the rest.
It's the fake humility.
Exactly. As long as it's the third story on, no, I did this.
Yeah.
I did this.
No, but the lead boxes were, that was the foremost. Then we used to do, back then they used to do 6 weeks for $10, and they would send people out, and they would sell it for whatever they wanted, and then get the guests, and they go to door to door. We didn't do TV. Even the phones, you couldn't really track telephone inquiries or any of that stuff at that time. So we used to run 250 or get 150 shows off lead boxes. That was crazy. And they were really, you get some interesting folks in that marketing space.
So with the print, would you guys do a lot of print then too?
Yeah, we did a lot of direct mail, which is still around. I don't know why people use it. To me, it seems useless, but you guys can speak on that more. Right?
It's hit or miss, like from the things I see.
Expensive.
It is. Well, it's dropped down. I mean, actually, it's different because with the price of postage going up, it's. But that was always the competitive advantage with like YMCA. Right, they didn't have to pay for postage.
Yeah,
they would really
because they're a nonprofit.
Correct. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
So they would like to this day. So it's like a really kind of an unfair advantage that they have in the marketplace, especially in the fitness world.
For sure. Well, we built the Hearts was really built when it got over the hump. It was referrals too. I mean that when you get lead box guests in and you're dealing with people sometimes that aren't the best quality, you learn really quickly to get the people that are using your place and like you to bring their friends.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how it all started before television and all that stuff.
What did your pitch look like exactly when it came to referrals? Because I remember you distinctly telling me one time, like, I don't ever want to go do a lead box. I'd rather just generate that off of people I've just sold.
Well, we had a pitch, but I really never used it because I was incapable. That's why Matt and I are sitting here together because he and I are very similar. generally don't even know what the hell's coming out of my mouth most of the time when I'm selling, to this day, and it's never changed. So it was just more connecting, making friends with them, and making sure they had a good experience. And I mean, I'd walk into guys like you and go, "Hey, what's wrong with you?" And you go, "What?" I go, "You haven't brought me a friend in like 2 months. What's wrong with you? Did I do something wrong?" And you're like, "Oh, I'll bring my friend in." So I get, guys that like to lift and work out, and you go bring their friends in. Just ask them.
Yeah.
As long
Well,
as
that's still. I mean, like that's still the base of all marketing. The best lead, no, it's asking for the referral, and it's the opportunity to ask for the referral. Like there's all these tactics, right? That everything has changed. That like the only way to really grow your business, really, like the best way is through asking other people that you've tricked into liking you. It's really what it comes down to. Like they like in the Yellow Page days, it's I was at Dex, RH Donley, right, through that acquisition. Here's fun fact, I was so good at selling Yellow Pages, which most people don't even know what they are anymore, that when I was in management, my first year as a manager, I took a $120 million phone book down to $6 million. 1 year. Thank you. Because everyone stopped using it. Literally overnight. In Seattle market, especially, like they wouldn't. They wouldn't use it. Just died, literally, because they had the opt-in versus opt-out. That's right. And they changed it. So the moment that changed, because they used to just go and leave Yellow Pages at people's doors, and then in the Washington area, you had to opt into even getting the phone book versus opting out.
What year was that?
That was 2007, 2008, something like that.
That's right about the same time. So I was working at Gannett at that time, and Gannett was experiencing the same thing. So they had created AZ Central in like 2004, and really it was just like, oh, the internet thing. Let's have a presence. And then what happened was subscriptions went down like crazy in the newspaper, and they started pushing AZ Central like nobody's business, and they were still doing it on a CPM basis there. And this is right when Google. The CPMs were high, dude. Like, depending on what section you were in. So if you were in sports, which was super popular, like your CPMs would be anywhere between like $24 and $30 CPM. And like today, like that's a lot of money. For some of the CPMs that we do in like programmatic. But they would sell the homepage, and they would sell like banners on there. Some of those would be $100 to $150 CPM, and you'd have to buy a minimum amount of days. You couldn't just be like on there for a little bit. You'd have to buy it for the entire month, for example. So, but AZ Central was just in that realm, and they started to take over. But then Google had just come out with their pay-per-click model, like 2004, 2005, and nobody was prepared for that. Like nobody was like, oh, wait, I'm actually only paying when somebody takes an action. And that revolutionized the game back then.
Well, that sounds like they were really smart, though, because they actually valued the content of the AZ Central website. Because where the radio groups and TV groups started shooting themselves in the foot is they used it as an add-on. They would sell the spots and go, oh, and we'll do this. So they bastardized their own product. So when that switch occurred, you were getting free advertising on their website for all these years, and all of a sudden it's worthless. Right? Like they devalued their own product over and over again. Now they're going, oh no, it's worth a ton. We have all these eyes. Well, you gave it for free for the last 3 years. With a buy.
They did that in the radio Seattle market.
They were
time, because we bought radio. I forgot. We did that, and we did Post Intelligencer and Times. We hit that back page, and we usually like pick Sunday to be that.
That's always the day you do it.
That's when we bought it. So that I forgot about newspaper. Those are gone too.
Times is still around. PI though is dead. Like
it's
PI's
the Times,
been gone
right?
for a while.
I look at it when I go to my buddy's house. But yeah, it's interesting. I go to this restaurant, the restaurant we go to up by my place, and there's a guy, he reads the paper there, and I'm always intrigued. He's got it laid out. It's like, I go, you're the only one. Keep it up, buddy.
I was at Quick Trip the other day, and I hadn't seen anybody purchase an actual newspaper in years. And there was a dude right next to me, and he had a newspaper in his hand, and it was like so off the wall. The dude behind the counter, like checking him out, was like, oh, you're buying a newspaper. Haven't seen that in a while. It's like, yeah, I still like my hard copy. I'm like, wow.
And getting your hands with everything on it.
Oh, yeah, just
right?
dry as can be on your
And
fingertips.
the ink gets all over it. It was like the Yellow Pages too, like ink on your hands.
Oh, yeah, and
felt
you had
like it
to
didn't
open
work
it.
that
Remember
way.
opening it, trying to find something in it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where,
Yep.
all that stuff, and you're in there writing on it, going, I'm going to call it. I mean, yeah, it's just.
Kristen, my wife gets a newspaper for Black Friday.
Okay.
Because there's always the coupons in there.
Yeah.
And I read a study where that's like pretty much the only day like that they have that huge increase in
I drove down on the same and got one for my wife
Yep.
for the same thing.
They're hard to find usually.
Oh yeah, I go, getting papers. I go, and they were like, that's the day.
The coupons are helpful.
Well, that's what happened. So, like, as I phased out, I still kept in touch with a lot of people at Gannett, right? So, as they started to take Arizona Republic from the distribution that they had, or circulation, I should say, around here, it diminished down to 10% of what it was when I was there. And this is like
the
probably,
sales team too?
yeah, oh yeah.
Wow.
But this is like from 2008 to I want to say like 2015. They had diminished it down to 10% of the circulation because like it didn't make sense for them. They shut down their plant that was printing them and everything. But yeah, to your point, it was the coupons. It was like their weekly magazine that they had that was all coupon based. That's really what kept them in print, period. And then they, Republic Media, they opened up a direct mail portion of it. And that was it. And then everything was AZ Central focused. And today, AZ Central, they tried, and I think they still might even have a payment gateway for it. And that was the dumbest decision I can imagine. Like, they're making people pay to go on a website when you can go on almost every other website that's news related, minus maybe the Wall Street Journal, and it's just local news. You can go to another local news station and find this information. So it's interesting for me to watch like the big companies like the Gannett's that own USA Today as well as some of these smaller markets go down. I mean they're not going to make it, I don't think.
Well, it's so weird. I mean, in the sense where you look at what's happened with media, and we've seen it like just in the last 10 years, where we consume so much content. That content's free. So then you have all these groups that are trying to monetize that content. How do you monetize that content?
And act like it's value.
Exactly. And most of it has no value. And it's all about capturing eyeballs, right? So like if you look at like traditional media, like when it comes to like regular TV and all those other things, so much wasted spend that's happening because people are just throwing out a big net. Well, we know with data and everything else that's out there anymore, you don't have to throw out that big net anymore. No. You can narrow it down and be a lot more specific. And it's interesting because I had a conversation with a guy literally on Tuesday that I work with, and he was making a point. He goes, I'm tired. I don't want to hit everybody on their phones and everything else. And he goes, how do you feel about all this data and stealing? Well, that's what we do. We utilize the data. And I said, and actually, I don't think it's intrusive at all, because he kept saying how intrusive it was. And I said, I don't find it intrusive at all, because what we're doing is instead of hitting people that shouldn't look and learn about that product, we're hitting the people that should.
No,
so we're actually narrowing it down and hitting the people that actually are the
And
clients.
you're making it easier for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a service.
Which is exactly what it is. So we're, instead of throwing out that big net where we're just peppering people with nonsense, we have the ability now to hit the individuals where it's actually pertinent to what they're looking for. You're searching for wedding dresses. Great. Here's wedding ads and everything.
Well, the only
attached
group
to
I
it.
would disagree with that statement on is the election was so wonderful to go through, this last one where we were literally getting hit on our phones 20 times a day.
With the text messaging?
Yeah, I don't want them. I don't want any of them texting.
The text messaging? Yeah, that's one. I mean, they keep trying to pass laws on it, but that's where, I mean, well, it's like spam, right? Or like, we even go in the Google days, right? If you look at like the Google algorithm, the way it's set up, you had Matt Cutts, who was in charge of the spam, but he's like basically the forefather of like SEO. Well, whenever they do these algorithm updates, it's all really designed to get rid of the negative, or not negative results, but the spam, the people that actually have been cheating or things that shouldn't show up. Yeah. They don't have that, to my knowledge anyway. They don't have that right now when it comes to text messaging, right? Because they need to have that kind of spam thing, and they have laws.
Yeah, Common Short Code Administration actually has laws for this, but nobody's
can
following
bypass
it. They absolutely. Yeah. Well, and like to your point earlier when you were talking like people reading different articles, the neatest thing today, the switch is like if you're into like sports articles or football and you're reading all this kind of thing, well, they're creating you as part of an affinity market. Now they're going to target you with that profile, and it's getting down to granular. Like we were just talking earlier before this, like people that are on certain medications, now they can be targeted for other things from an advertising standpoint, which. I don't know how I feel about it, but at the end of the day, that person's going to be more interested than I am.
It's
than if I'm
giving
not
more
doing the
options
ailment.
for what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why I get all those anti-Russell Wilson things, because I just look up about how much I can't stand that guy.
Who's your favorite team to watch this year, by the way?
The Seahawks winning and the Broncos losing. That was. I mean, would you agree?
Oh yes, and weekly checking what our pick was going to be in the first round from the Broncos.
Hey, we're getting such a good one.
I think we're number 5, I believe.
Do you think he has like a direct pipeline to Sierra, where like when he's on the play, like the coach has one ear and he has Sierra, and Sierra's going, no, that's not the play call. You just be you.
Possibly.
I think it probably.
I think depending on who you ask.
Two different earpieces.
Exactly.
Depending on who you ask, maybe Richard Sherman. I know the answer.
But it's interesting today because what we've seen is everything is now hyper focused when it comes to marketing. You can't really cast this broad.
But you still need that branding, right? So you still do. So like there's a mortgage company up in the Northwest that I know that if you go through all their leads, their number one lead source is always radio, right? Always. They always say radio number one. They have not run radio in 10 years. Yeah. They just have one of those jingles that's an earworm that gets stuck in your head. Yeah. And so everybody knows it, but literally it's their number one. So that's why when everybody has those contact forms, how'd you hear about us? Or we ask somebody, how'd you hear about it? None of it's, the only way to make it even somewhat accurate is utilizing like CallRail, what converts, those different software systems to really kind of hone in on it.
Right.
Well, they've
Google
seen
Analytics.
so much stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we used to really source. That was really important when we were always on our guest register.
Would you use the call tracking numbers?
Oh, yeah.
Which has, to this day, screwed up all of SEO because you have those old erroneous numbers that then are attached to.
It's a mess.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
But after a certain amount of time, they don't know what brought them in.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're really good, go, hey, Matt, now what specifically? And you ask 2-3 extra freaking questions.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Back when you were doing lead boxes, that was the fight in the clubs. You'd go in and go, that's my lead. And then they go, no, it wasn't. And they didn't ask
drive by is what it said.
Yeah, and you're getting paid for that, so that's all the stuff. And we did all that manually back then. And but you're exactly right. And then you get into like TV, same thing. Yeah. We spent so much money on TV in Seattle and even here for 10 years. They didn't remember how they saw it. They just saw it come in.
The brand play works, like when you do that. But it's funny how some of those companies, like the evolution, right? You look at like Yellow Pages, going back to like the call tracking. So like what Yellow Pages started doing, and the one I worked for at the time, they would do this pay per performance model, where they're like, okay, we're going to show the value of Yellow Pages, and they put like a phone number, and you just pay per phone call, right? Great model. Then they would go and take that phone number and they put in their Google My Business and everything else, and it would be the same phone number, right? And then they would try to take credit, and they got caught because they were tracking all the phone numbers that were actually really coming from Google, and everything else.
Yeah, they just started.
It was crazy.
Like on TV when we put the number on TV.
Yeah.
It hasn't even been that long. I mean, it was the end of probably 95 or 6 is when we were able to run one number, and the Bellevue club would get their leads and all that. You had to check it all the time. You had to go grab a payphone and call your club to make sure another club wasn't getting your leads because it was so screwed up. They couldn't keep it in control. We checked our.
I love it.
Oh, we called every other day because one of our clubs, Leon in Bellevue, was getting all the leads for the whole company, and Brad was there and I was. All of us. We figured it out. He never told.
That's awesome.
He never told anybody. So he almost. Ended his life.
Oh, he's just taking calls and engrossing.
But he said, he says this is a main enrollment center for Hearts Athletic Club, and it wasn't in his leads.
Oh, he's a rock star.
It was awesome. But we got it.
There was back in the Yellow Page. There was a gentleman who was the biggest snake in the grass. Oh, bless his heart. I joined. I'm this young, naive, optimistic young man thinking, oh, you know what? Everyone has everyone's best interest at heart. Just. Go get them. And I would go and collect business cards, and this guy would go to everyone's desk, and he would steal the business cards off your desk if you got there early enough. Like if you would catch him, and then he would sit there, and this is the same guy. Like, so here's a rule I also learned. And this one's also this is offensive for some people, so I apologize in advance. And we have to pick it up. He's falling asleep. So if somebody wanted to put a Jesus fish in their ad, or like a Bible quote, instant credit application. Every time someone wanted a Jesus fish in their Yellow Page ad, CMO, you would get charged back on your commission. Every single time. I signed up 15 different people. all chargebacks, insisted on the Jesus fish. So this guy who would go and steal everybody's like cards off their desk, I went on a sales call because he was one of the leaders on this whole thing. And he's like, you need to go ride with this gentleman. So I ride with him, and he would open it up by praying with them. I'm like, oh, we have ourselves an insincere individual. And it was awesome. Because what you learn about, like when you're actually like you're working in these different companies, just how some of these guys, they have no morals.
Right.
They're the most, like traveling on the road, Yellow Pages. That was a whole nother thing. Did you, like, remember like traveling on the roads? And it's like, well, that guy's married. Well, apparently not tonight, he's not. And you'd run into that constantly. Yeah, exactly. We have something better going on. So it was just, but it was this constant chaos of just like not knowing what's happening in that world. But the moral of the story is, if somebody wants to put a Jesus fish in their ad, don't trust them. Do not trust them.
I can't agree with you more. And I'm a Christian. I love.
Let's make sure that wasn't Jesus doing the chargeback.
Right. No. Exactly. You know, it was Jesus. But I've had the same experiences with the people that put it on their business card, the ones that own the company.
I just had my pool repaired. Yeah. Just had my pool repaired. I know my rule. Do not trust anybody that puts a Jesus fish on their ad. This guy got me. He put a Bible verse.
Okay.
So I go and I'm like, you know what?
Which one do you remember?
I don't even remember. It's Isaiah.
Okay.
But I go through and I'm looking at like the invoice that he charges. And I'm looking and he has a part on there, right? So I give that part a little Google, because I don't know if you know that there's a thing called the internet where you can look that up. Yeah. This motherfucker, it was a 5-time markup.
Wow, of the part?
Yeah, but and it was text messages, hey brother, God bless, everything else. I fell for it, because it wasn't a Jesus fish, Bible verse. So now my rule is, Bible verse is now added too. Because you know what that means is he's disarming you. And if anyone calls me brother out of the get-go, we're not brothers. Not brothers. So I need a pool guy if you guys have one.
We have one. We have a pool guy. He's good. He's good.
I need something fixed.
Yeah.
Does he fix stuff?
Oh yeah, he fixes stuff. Yeah.
All right.
Does like all resurfacing, pumps, all that kind of stuff.
I need because something would always be broken too. Like something else would be broken. Oh yeah. Yeah. No. So you would fix it, and then something else wouldn't.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. Like fix the pump.
warranty.
Now there's a crack. Now the light's out.
See? Now I can tell my wife it wasn't Jesus. I think it was Steve. I'm thinking that's who it was.
Steve made a decision.
So you're thoroughly confused in your hosting duties currently?
Oh, I'm good. This is kind of how our
Hard
normal
segues.
conversation goes.
Hard
segues.
segues.
No, I mean like you talk about like putting those types of things on a card, right, and not trusting it. Like, what are some other things you've seen in business that or marketing that you're like, not a chance that I'm going to go that direction? Maybe it's a claim or an offer that's like too good to be true. What I found is the too good to be true. There's always red tape.
We know a bankruptcy guy that made some claims that got himself in a whole bunch
We
of
do.
trouble.
We do.
Zero down bankruptcy doesn't work. Get yourself in a little bit of trouble on that one.
Yeah, well, in certain states, you can do it, no problem. Certain ones you can't, and it's frowned upon. And yeah, we'll just leave it at
So
that.
there's a cost? So there's a cost? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Yeah, you see, I mean, you have people. I mean, the thing that I know we've kind of pride our careers on is like we get the opportunity to work with people that actually like I could safely say that we're fortunate with the groups we get to work with. Mm-hmm. I can literally count on one hand in the last 15 years people that I have decided to sever relationships with. Literally. Yeah. I mean, most of them have happened in the last couple of years, but it's literally there's like one hand. Right. And like most people, if you have your best intentions, and I had a great conversation with a gentleman today, where you talk about like if you have the best intention for your clients, and they know that. Right? If you're trying to nickel and dime them, you're going to lose the client. Absolutely. You go in for the long tail for the relationship side of it. That's why you never say no. And what I mean by that is everything is an option when it comes to marketing, in my opinion. You want, when someone's looking for something, you want them to be an option. But it's how you pepper that spend for it to actually work. Like it is direct mail you mentioned. Direct mail, does it work? Sometimes it does. Yeah. But what you could do is you could take advantage of technology to see if it's measurable. by putting in, numbers, QR codes, things like that to see if they work. Yeah. And there's all those different things, because sometimes you find something that you would just throw out there that, that won't work, and it does. And then you also have to realize sometimes we're getting old.
Well, do you think?
Are we?
Do you think? Yeah, exactly. You talk to me. Do you think that, like you said, you never know what's going to work?
Yeah.
I think for you, doing this so long, staying out of, not being set in your ways and going, hey, I'm not going to invest.
Eric, you have to listen, man.
I'm not going to invest a house on this thing, but
Yeah.
man, if this may work, and if it works,
You just nailed it. Like I was talking about old. The other day I was shitting on TikTok, right? I'm like, there's no way TikTok's going to work. And then I got just shown data, and that's where I really turned into old man, get off my lawn. And then I'm like, wait a second. Like, let's look at that. And then you look at the actual measurable. Is it right for everyone? No. And I think that's the thing, is like anybody who sits there and goes, hey, do you want to buy the bronze package? In the bronze package, we got this, this, and this. Well, go fuck yourself. Like, the bronze package isn't going to be for everybody. Like, there's things you can do from a package standpoint.
Right.
But more importantly, what you have to look at is like, what's right for that business. And a great example of this, you have to listen.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and like tiers of service, right? So you're talking about packages. In fact, we were talking about, this is one of our team, and she brought up some great points. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense, because not everyone is going to fit into a mold of social media or whatever. But you have all of these different options, and you customize a package for them, and then it's just tiers of service of how much time they're buying.
Yep.
That's where like advertising agencies should be going,
Sure.
but a lot of them aren't. So like all the tactics, you were talking about direct mail, and like one of my favorite things about direct mail is you can also take that same address list and you can basically do a layering.
targeting.
Absolutely.
And
You
hit
can.
their home address.
Yep, with display ads. So
Yep.
now they're not only getting in their mailbox and then throwing it away, but then they're seeing it on their phone over and over, and it gives them a better opportunity to actually work, and that's super measurable. You know the click-through rate from that kind of thing. Like there's an old adage, I don't remember who said it, but it's like you keep your principles firm and your methods flexible.
Yeah.
Because the methods, certainly in marketing, are always changing, especially in the digital world. But I mean, there's some pretty neat things that are coming out that I think will probably be scary for people. Like, have you heard much about this ChatGPT thing going?
Yeah. Yes. And so there's all these different chat things that are out there.
We heard some hard sell on it. So
Yes.
what are your thoughts?
So it's okay. So I love how everything's politicized, right? So like the concern with this one now, right, is like if you ask it abortion issues, it's going to give you liberal slant on it. That I saw that on Fox News, and it's like that's really what the purpose of this is to do that.
Right? No, it's not at all.
Ridiculous.
It's just like everybody's like there's a politicization. That's a word I'm not going to use again. Of people are trying to like use the politics of on all these different things, and like that's the evolution of what's happening. Right. Everything's going more and more down the AI route. Like we're having a problem right now where people cannot hire. People have all of a sudden become too good to work. So okay, I can't get a front desk person that used to be like the high schooler down the right way because minimum wage is so expensive. So because of that, we saw it in Seattle. What ended up happening with SeaTac? SeaTac was the first place to actually raise minimum wage to $14 an hour. First place in the United States. Do you know how many people work at McDonald's now? Not many. It's all kiosks. Yeah. Because everyone went and said, okay, we're going to go and combat that with this. Right? So, and I'm not trying to get political, but like you look at some of these things, like if you can't find the workers to answer the calls, because we know that a lot of these places, they call for 3 reasons. Book a reservation, right? Yep. Where are you located? And what are your hours of operations? Those are the 3 questions that are asked. And that's 90% of the phone calls. All of a sudden, you make that so that's automated, so it's an AI bot that people actually understand. Why would you not do that?
Right. No, it
if
just
they
makes
deal
sense.
with anybody, you're saving your company business.
The minimum wage, and they took what was supposed to be people's kids' first jobs.
Correct.
And they took them away, and then everyone goes, oh, they're SOBs, depending on what side you're on. But McDonald's never planned on paying $20 an hour.
Right, because you're gonna have to raise your
Never did
hamburger
that.
$1 a piece.
So as much as it sucks to have, I think it's ridiculous. He's exactly right.
Yep.
That makes no
So
sense.
the jobs just go away. Yeah. And so we're going to continue seeing like these things with AI. Content writing, perfect example. Jasper.ai. Yep. We're all of a sudden you got content writers where you would have to go through and try to find good writers and everything else. And as we know, anything in the creative arts, there could be some temperamental attitudes that go with it. not to offend anybody, but I'm an eccentric, so I can say those things. But now you have like things like Jasper.ai that does all the content writing, and you think it's somebody that's actually written it personally for you.
Yeah. I mean, it even comes from a voice, which is crazy because, and it's for those of you guys who don't know what it is. Basically, you can put in keywords, you can put in subject matters, you can put in different companies, and what it'll do, it'll scan all the information as possible, and then it'll put it together in a format that your brain understands, that's written, and it can put it into a narrative like somebody's talking to you. It's scary to a degree, but you're right. I mean, it's needed to happen for a long time, and then you can go and make your own humanized edits if you want.
We're going to see more and more of that.
Right.
We're going to see more and more of the AI pieces coming into play, and so that's where, like, from a marketing standpoint, you're either leading edge or you're going to be behind. So it's learning how to adapt with everything. So getting stuck in your ways, and this is my yard. You have to listen. You have to learn of what all the emerging technologies are that are coming across the board, and there's a lot of them, and when we're working with an economy that's kind of, in flux right now, it's the same thing. So like, what's going to work for this gym? What's going to work for this center? What's going to work for these different things? And you just have to get more creative.
Right. Well, and a lot of it too, it comes down to still having that personal touch, from a marketing standpoint. And like we were listening to Pace Morby, so he gave one of the talks. He's the one that brought up ChatGPT.
Yep.
And the most interesting thing about that whole talk was the end of the talk when he was talking about how you can still thrive in, even with AI taking over all these things, if you have that personal touch, and that is part of your marketing. So I think that's where we're going to see the switch happen.
Yep.
You're going to have AI continue to do what it does.
It's still going to take over the world. It is Skynet.
Well, yeah.
We're all doomed. I mean, we're all going to die.
So when do we
because
think
of AI.
Terminator's coming?
Oh, it's already happened.
Oh,
Yeah.
Here.
Oh, it's already there.
Might be
Like,
outside
this is
right now.
Skynet already. This
You
is,
just said Skynet. It's right there.
That's right. We got 5G going on here and all this good stuff. Yeah. But no, I mean, that personal touch with marketing, I think, is super important and for every company. But they have to utilize the AI, the automations that they can, because if you don't use them, you're going to lose to your competitor.
correct.
So, you want to make sure that you keep an advantage. And honestly, just like you were talking about how all these relationships you've had for a long time in your businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, why do they still buy from you?
Well, it's what marketing is. And here's what I mean by that. So the biggest thing that people forget is that you can be forgotten. So how do you go and make sure? You have to be top of mind. So you have to constantly touch all the time. It's the story of Kmart. Why did Kmart they go out of business? They stopped advertising. So people forgot who they were. And Walmart jumped on top and then took over all of Kmart. Yeah. It's the same thing with anything. If you have a client that you get to work with, you need to touch base so they know who you are, good, bad, or indifferent. So you're sitting there saying, hey, here's what we're seeing. Informing, just touch. And that's what our clients have to do with their clients. Keep touching. If you communicate, you're going to be successful. The moment you get dark, it's like a relationship. It's no different.
Yeah, imagine like not talking to your wife for a week. That's probably not going to go over well.
Well, actually, in my case,
Okay, in my case, it wouldn't go over well.
For Christmas, my wife did get me a new suitcase. That was legitimately, which I took that as a sign. Hit the road, dickhead. It's time to leave.
And you've been on the road 16 out of the last 19 days.
Yeah, the idiot's been on the road, yeah.
Which shows exactly what you said. You just didn't spew those words out. You've been on the road.
Yeah.
16 out of 18
To go
days.
see everybody.
And you went on the road on January 1st. You were on the plane,
Correct.
seeing an old friend,
Yeah.
which I thought was awesome.
Yeah,
And
fine.
I called him. I said, I go, it's smart. And the guy, I think you told me the story. He goes, hey, I'm glad you came out. And he didn't really want you to come out, but he says, hey, I'm glad you came out. And and then you set parameters where you know when you need to go out and all that, and it's good for your relationship. It was perfect.
You
But
have to do that.
I believe everything's coming back. It's cyclical. These phones and all that stuff, people are struggling for human communication.
They are.
It's just, and I think, like in our studios, we're old school, but John and Laura know every member's name. They know if they have kids, they know everything about them. Like
Absolutely.
if they walk in that door, they're getting high and by, the minute they walk in, the minute they walk out. It's just it's making sure that, we don't talk about why our stuff is so good.
Correct.
It's fucking people better do their job well. And then on the market, I think with marketing, the more I look at it, getting really specific who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Like if this is what because they're going to figure out who the owners are, what they believe in. So you might as well own your stuff and go, this is who we are. This is what we believe in, whether it's personal, political, or whatever, and then freaking own it and hammer it and go,
Yeah.
this is the like-minded people we want in our place.
Yeah.
Because your business is going to run better.
Dude, a great example of that is My Pillow guy, right?
Yeah.
So one of the best I can think of, right? So I'm sitting there, I'm watching Tucker Carlson. I think it was Tucker Carlson a couple nights ago, and I hadn't watched it in like a month. Whatever. I'm just throwing. And that guy has 4 commercials on Tucker Carlson. They're all different. He's taking you to the freaking to Africa where this cotton is basically taken and then turned into sheets, and he's showing you the farms. And I'm like, wow, this is genius. And obviously he plays the conservative, viewpoint. That's his audience. He knows who's buying from him. Right, wrong, or indifferent, he is making money hand over fist.
Well, and I think that's a really good point. I mean, you can't be all things to everyone. And that goes in business too, right? You can't be, I have proven that by ruining a couple of companies. You can't be everything to everyone.
You're exactly right.
So you have to go in and know what your strong suit is and what your negative suits are when it comes to things, and find the people that fill up those weaknesses. It's the same thing when you're trying to identify your client base or your customer base. Is if you try to be everything to everybody, you're going to fail. So how do you do it? There's generic things you could do, right? Like, so if you're doing branding advertising as a fast food restaurant, you're just going to have a bunch of happy people because you're just throwing a huge net when it comes to all of that, right? Yeah. So, but when you're getting a more niche product, then you have to start really kind of drilling down as to who you're really trying to target in that situation. And, that's in today's age where everyone's so hyper political about everything, makes it dangerous, right? Because you say this and automatically this is said, and this, because the United States is a bunch of Sith lords, a world of absolutes, over and over again. It is what it is there.
Yeah, but you have
so how do you navigate it?
You have to navigate it.
How do you do it then? How do you navigate it? So you navigate it by making sure that you say the things that you need to say, and you have to hold your opinion back on a lot of things.
Absolutely.
And bite your tongue.
Well, I think you have to be non-political. We're not this, we're not that.
Sure.
This is what we stand for.
Yep.
This is who we are, and you just have to get it into your organization.
Correct.
And you have to help sometimes I think on the marketing side too, you have to help these people if they're a little bit younger and all that. You have to help them with this concept going, hey, you're like, your whole thing's out there in the world. It's like you don't need all this stuff out there.
What do we talk about all the time? Once it's on the internet, it's on the internet forever.
Yep.
And so you have to constantly, like I tell the girls that on a regular basis, that once it's on the internet, it's on there forever. And be mindful.
A lot of folks have paid the price for that.
Thank God the internet wasn't as vibrant as.
We're all so lucky.
Oh, we are so lucky.
Thank you.
The days of Motor Matt from Radio Disney. Thank goodness we don't have a lot of that on there. That is good.
No, I think overall it's very important with your message to know what you stand for. So for example, you have your Burn It, Build It Fitness, right? These are fitness studios. What do you guys stand for? You stand for fitness, you stand for health, you stand for taking care of yourself, longevity of life. Those are non-political things. Those go talk to the human. And if you always think about who's the human I'm talking to, you can do it through buyer personalities or whatever you want to do. But then you have your core values. It never has to get political unless you just want to placate to that, which again, the My Pillow guy does, and he does very well.
Yeah.
But he's missing an entire audience.
Yep.
That's the problem. And
But I think
why do you
there's
want
a
to
play on that too, though, that you can be okay if that's who you want to be, because then
Yeah.
you don't have to compromise. Look at Black Rifle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got people that and if you study Starbucks, which we're both from Seattle, I'm not a big fan. We lost the Seattle Supersonics because of that guy. I won't even say his name because we should have our Sonics. I mean, and when Black Rifle came up, they go, their coffee sucks anyway. And they went to that spot. Seattle Best was the better company. Remember?
Tolly's.
I love Seattle Bus.
Tolly's was the best.
Oh, excuse me.
Tolly's was the best. And Seattle Best got bought by
You're exactly right.
Starbucks.
You're exactly right.
Tolly's was
You can
awesome.
You can tell that story. What happened to them? That's a good mistake.
I actually, it was a marketing play, wasn't it? Didn't they screw up on that?
Yeah.
Because they also did that. Everyone knows who we are,
Yeah.
and they stopped spending money
Yeah.
in the marketplace.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tolly's was awesome. That was a great coffee place.
Yeah, so I got them confused. But it's like the death spiral is that's the other thing. Tell customers 2 things: they stop spending, they stop advertising,
Yep.
they cut payroll,
Yep.
and so
We stopped getting salespeople.
Yep, and then you're done. And that's the other thing that happens, and that's part of when you're leading these people is to keep them from that death spiral, because that's what happens all the freaking time.
Well, and I think as business owners too, which we all are business owners, on top of all of it, is you have to have the ability to listen. Meaning that if there's, like, stay in your lane. Like I alluded to earlier, like, if I'm going to go buy a house, I'm not going to do the contract. All right? I'm not going to pretend like I know what I'm talking about. Because I don't, right?
Yeah.
If I'm going to go and do write a contract, a legal contract, I know one guy I'm not going to go to.
Yeah.
But I will.
Overcharges.
What's that?
Overcharges.
Oh, I'd use that guy. I'm talking about the whole other side. Yeah. But I wouldn't write it myself, right? Yeah. There's a lot of things I won't do. Like, I'm not going to fix the house. These hands are soft. Yes. I'm not going to do anything work around the house. Now, the pool stuff I might do based on the markup and the Jesus fish that's on there, but that's neither here nor there. But I would want to make sure that we know the lane that you're sticking in and be okay with not knowing the information.
Right. And that's a great point, because if you stay in your lane and you know what you're really great at as a company, that allows your referral base to start to expand a lot quicker, because people aren't having an average experience. They're having an excellent experience with you. Like, you go to Brandenburg, you have one of their workouts, you're going to get your ass kicked. You're going to really enjoy it. You're going to be properly taught how to work out. But you're going to leave knowing that, wow, I did something, and you're going to come back. You had an excellent experience.
We do hit.
But you're not freaking. You don't have a bunch of saunas in there. No. You don't got a bunch of. You don't have a bunch of horse shit that you're trying to shove down people's throat. Yeah. You even took the heart monitors off. Why? Because it's really just a ploy that Orange Theory's put out there. You give excellent experience. So when you stay in your lane, when any business you're at, and you know exactly who you're serving, exactly what your service does for them, that's how you become excellent. Otherwise, to your point earlier, if you're doing everything for everybody, you're only good, maybe, or average on all of those different things.
Everlast song, or not Everlast? Everclear.
Everclear.
Everything to everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah. Go listen to that.
Well, you end up sticking your finger in the dike.
Yeah.
And you run out of fingers. And well, it's like, the boutique fitness studio is an interesting space. Matt walks in and he goes, "You got spinning bikes?" So I go, "No."
I do look like a spinner. You're right. I look like a bike spinner.
You would look good in the bike outfits. I think it'd be awesome.
I'll just wear one.
But I'm not going to run out because you walk in and ask me if I was spinning bike, buy 20 spinning bikes. Now, that's what these people do sometimes.
Sure.
Because they don't have, stay in your lane, stay focused on your customer satisfaction, but know who you are.
Right.
And that's the other thing you help people keep from doing is, stuff that's not going to bring them any revenue. And then they're doing stuff they're not good at.
Yeah.
Like, all I know about spinning, I owned about, I don't know how many bikes, probably 2,000 of them over the years. They cost a lot of money to fix, and I didn't really want to deal with the teachers.
Sure.
It wasn't fun. Nothing fun about it.
Well, and that's kind of the key. Everything should be a little bit of fun. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, not enjoying it, then
have fun,
what are you doing?
Yeah, that's true. And we'll kind of end on that note, because at the end of the day, like, your job, your business you run, whatever, if you're not having some fun, I mean, really, you should consider doing something else, because that would suck to wake up every day and to do something you don't want to do.
Hey, I have friends that have golden handcuffs, right? They work for organizations where they just get paid too much, but they don't enjoy what they get to do.
Oh, I have a lot of attorney friends, and they will tell you they don't like what they're doing on a daily basis. Now, granted, they make great money, which is why they continue to do it. But I mean, I've got ones that want to be, product developers. I got one that wants to own franchise. I've got, they all want to do these other things. Yeah. And it's like, at the end of the day, they put so much time and effort into going to law school, spending the money, creating a career, and that kind of thing. Like, they just don't. They're afraid to move away.
Sure.
I would say to anybody that's in that situation, though, like, really evaluate how much time. I mean, if you're 60 years old, maybe you stay in your lane there because you're going to be done pretty soon. But if you're like in your 40s or 50s and you got a lot of time left, do something you enjoy.
Well, I know you want to wrap up, and I can see everyone's gearing up to leave. So I'm going to tell a real quick, long, drawn-out story. I have a buddy of mine. His name is Matt. And he started a company called Lawless Jerky. And before that, he got his law degree from Duke. And at Duke, he practiced law. He was a sports agent, and he hated it. So he started a jerky company, had some success there. And then he started all these other things. He realized that food was something he wanted to be in, and just manufacturing different foods. But that was exactly, he spent all this money on getting a law degree, practiced law, didn't like it. And to me, that's the ballsiest thing you could do. Yeah. And guys like that, you just always want to high five, because that is a ballsy thing to do. But it's also a good thing of never be complacent. So this is how we tie it. Watch this. Watch this. Here's an awesome segue. Oh, fucking genius! What you're about to hear. The moment you're complacent in anything, marketing or any of that, you're dead. So if you're not challenging yourself, you're not challenging what you're doing from a marketing standpoint or what you're doing in your day-to-day, you might as well just get fucked. Might drop.
Well, and I don't know if I'd say it like that personally, but he did.
Awesome.
No, at the end of the day, you're right. If you're not challenging yourself, you're not trying to be fulfilled. You're not, gaining anything. If you're static, you're dying. I mean, that's just the reality in any part of your life. So, no, this is great. We're gonna do more of this. You'll see these guys a lot more, and I'll probably be squirreled out here as well with them. But this is a lot of fun. I know you guys got some good stuff out of this, some entertainment for sure. But if you got some value, share this with a friend. Leave a comment for us. We appreciate it. Lets us know we're doing this for a reason. We're not just talking into the ether. So,
and no Jesus fish on your invoices.
All right, what he said. All right, guys, we'll see you next time.